Disney and the Oscars. This is a subject I've been excited to explore for many months on this channel, and with the release of the new live-action movie The Little Mermaid, starring Halle Bailey and Melissa McCarthy, what better excuse could there be to go back and talk about one of my favorite animated movies ever, 1989's The Little Mermaid, which ignited the Disney Renaissance, was a blockbuster hit at the box office, and became the first animated feature at the studio in 12 years to be recognized at the Oscars. What did The Little Mermaid win at the 62nd Academy Awards in early 1990? What other nominations should it have gotten? And what's the legacy of the film 34 years since its release? In this video, we're talking the Oscar history of The Little Mermaid, and I'm welcoming the fabulous Cody Derricks from Next Best Picture to help me break everything down. Before we get to those gold trophy wins, let's go back to the project's beginning. For much of the 1980s, Disney animation was at a very low ebb. Films like The Fox and the Hound, The Black Cauldron, and The Great Mouse Detective not exactly setting the box office on fire. There's a lot to admire in these films. There's a special place in my heart for the darkly compelling The Black Cauldron, but at the time they weren't really connecting with critics and audiences. 1988's Oliver and Company was a step in the right direction, becoming the first animated feature to cross the $100 million mark at the worldwide box office. Its centerpiece catchy song Why Should I Worry also got nominated at the Golden Globes, although surprisingly I would say, it was snubbed at the Oscars, the Academy electing to nominate songs from movies like Buster and Baghdad Cafe. But for everyone who enjoyed Oliver and Company, nobody could have been prepared for the following year's The Little Mermaid, the awesome creative jolt Walt Disney Animation needed at the end of the 1980s. The project didn't get an automatic green light. The then Disney Studios chairman Jeffrey Katzenberg, initially saying no to it, worried it was too similar to the live-action Splash, and that it would only appeal to young girls. But eventually the film did get the go-ahead, and writer-directors Ron Clements and John Musker went back to the classic Disney style of storytelling, exploring good versus evil and complicated family dynamics, as well as an appealing female protagonist desperately in want of something out of her control. And what didn't hurt the endeavor was bringing on the two extraordinary musical artists Howard Ashman and Alan Menken to create the songs. The duo previously Oscar-nominated for Mean Green Mother from Outer Space from 1986's Little Shop of Horrors. Here's what my friend Cody had to say about their invaluable contributions to The Little Mermaid.
I think both of them, but specifically Howard Ashman, are totally integral to the success of Little Mermaid and, by degree, the entire Disney company. This is Alan Menken's first film score, I believe, which is really incredible because it's a beautiful piece of work beyond just the songs. The underscoring is really pretty, for lack of a better word, but it is. It sounds like a fairy tale taking place under the sea. Howard Ashman specifically brought a Broadway sensibility to the story in that there's a clear I Want song with Part of Your World. There's a clear 3-act structure. It uses classic musical theater archetypes and characters that have been used for a century, and this formula has been proven on the stage for so long, and he bringing it to the movies really put a good base structure in the movie that had been clearly lacking in the 80s when they were really off the path.
I couldn't have said it better myself. No matter how wonderful The Little Mermaid is, the original score and the songs are what make the film so special. Imagine no Part of Your World, no Under the Sea. You can go 20 years not having seen the movie, and you'll still remember most of the words to these iconic melodies. They're ingrained in our brains and in our bones, especially if you were young like me when you saw the film. The Little Mermaid is the first movie I remember seeing in a theater at age 5 in November 1989, and the effect it had on me was immense. The story, the songs, the danger, the emotion, the gorgeous animation, and oh my god, Ursula, it was all a wonder to behold, and I certainly wasn't the only one to fall in love with it.
Little Mermaid was always heavy in the rotation. I think it's a wonderful story. I think it's like enchantingly made, and I just rewatched it not too long ago, and it absolutely holds up. It's so well crafted. It's just a machine of joy. You know, every musical number is perfect. All the characters are memorable. It tells a good story. It looks amazing. It's just a winner.
In the weeks leading up to the film's release, executives at Disney recognized just what a special film they had. In his book Disney War, author James B. Stewart writes that during a night preview screening of The Little Mermaid, the mostly adult audience seemed enchanted and broke into applause at the end. Jeffrey Katzenberg was elated and immediately changed the marketing plan. Initially worried that the film would appeal mostly to young girls, the campaign was broadened to target parents as well. Disney finally achieved their first mega-hit animated feature in decades, The Little Mermaid making more than $100 million in the United States and more than $200 million worldwide. And the critics adored the film too. Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel giving it rave reviews, Siskel putting it at number 6 on his top 10 list of 1989.
Two most enthusiastic thumbs up for The Little Mermaid, a Disney animated feature cartoon as good as the classic ones they've made.
The Little Mermaid got 4 Golden Globe nominations, including Best Motion Picture Comedy or Musical, and it won Best Original Song for Under the Sea and Best Original Score. Was The Little Mermaid going to be the first Disney animated feature in ages to get some Oscar nominations? I would say things were looking pretty good. The Rescuers was nominated for Best Original Song in 1978 for Someone's Waiting for You, losing to the title song of You Light Up My Life. Then for the next decade plus, The Fox and the Hound, The Black Cauldron, The Great Mouse Detective, and Oliver and Company went without Academy Award nods. The Little Mermaid finally broke that dry spell, receiving 2 Oscar nominations for Best Original Song, Kiss the Girl, and Under the Sea, as well as an Oscar nomination for Best Original Score. Could The Little Mermaid have placed in any other category on Oscar nominations morning? What about Best Picture? One of my favorite Oscar nominations of all time is Beauty and the Beast for Best Picture, the first animated feature to get in there, and I always believe it took The Little Mermaid's success to get us to that moment in early 1992, the press room erupting into cheers when Kathleen Turner announced the breakthrough Oscar nod.
Beauty and the Beast, Don Hand, producer.
Was it possible for The Little Mermaid to have gotten into the category 2 years prior? Here's a piece of what Cody and I talked about. So we have in Best Picture, My Left Foot, Field of Dreams, Dead Poets Society, Born on the 4th of July, Driving Miss Daisy wins.
Yeah.
This
is kind of an infamous Oscar year. This is one of those lineups where I wouldn't be too sad to see basically all of them get kicked out. This is one of those Oscar years that's more notable for what's not nominated versus what is, because famously Do the Right Thing gets snubbed, and obviously that's a huge controversy, even that in its time. It was not like it's something that looking back we say, oh, we probably should have paid attention to it. You know, it was doing well at the awards, and the Oscars pointedly chose not to include it. But I can see why the Oscars were hesitant to put something like Little Mermaid in Best Picture, but I think its success here paves the way for Beauty and the Beast in 2 years to do just that.
I personally would have nominated The Little Mermaid in Best Picture and Best Adapted Screenplay easily, but at least we got those nods for the score and the songs, and on the night of March 26, 1990, the popular Disney animated feature was the frontrunner in both categories. The main question was, which song was the film going to win for? Kiss the Girl or Under the Sea? Because I don't think any of the other nominees, After All from Chances Are, The Girl Who Used to Be Me from Shirley Valentine, or I Love to See You Smile from Parenthood, had the slightest chance in hell of winning, which Cody agreed with.
I mean, of the other nominees, nothing was touching these mermaid songs. I've never heard even of the movie Chances Are, so I can't speak to the song, but the other 2 songs are totally serviceable, if not like kind of boring. Like the song from Shirley Valentine is a snooze. Sorry, Marvin Hamlish. Little Mermaid songs are just not only really good songs, but you can see audiences and voters probably being really excited by the direction that this indicates the Disney company going, because it's, you know, new blood is working on these movies and is churning out these incredible songs.
As I also talked about with Cody, it baffles me to this day that my favorite song from The Little Mermaid, Part of Your World, wasn't even nominated. There is precedence for 3 songs from the same movie to all get in at the Oscars. It later happened for both Beauty and the Beast and The Lion King. Part of Your World should be on that Oscar nomination list, but hey, at least we can look on the bright side of things and just be thankful the song is in the movie. Never forget that at a test screening of The Little Mermaid, Jeffrey Katzenberg observed children growing restless during Part of Your World, and he almost cut the entire scene from the movie. Like, could you imagine?
I cannot fathom the movie without Party of a World. Not to be too homosexual about it, but that song is essential to the movie working. It is her I want song. A musical needs an I want in a moment where a character says, here's what I want. I'm making it explicitly clear to the audience and also myself as a character what I want. And the whole rest of the show or movie is going to be about me attempting to, and because it's musical, very likely achieving that.
Now, if something other than Part of Your World had to win Best Original Song, you could do a lot worse than Under the Sea. Paula Abdul and Dudley Moore presented the Best Original Song category, and Under the Sea's well-deserved victory gave us the one and only time the great Howard Ashman accepted an Academy Award on stage, giving a beautiful speech.
Mostly, though, to John Musker and Ron Clements, whose movie Little Mermaid really is. At William Morris, there's Don Ashlin, Mike Peretzian, and my beloved Esther Sherman. And at home, there's my mom, there's my sister, there's Nancy and Bill. I feel really lucky. Thank you.
He told Alan Menken that night about his illness, and he would pass away 1 year later in March 1991 from complications due to the AIDS virus. When it came to Best Original Score, The Little Mermaid definitely stood out from the crowd. All nominees are excellent: David Grusin for The Fabulous Baker Boys, James Horner for Field of Dreams, and John Williams for both Born on the 4th of July and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Here's what Cody said about the category.
You know, I think it's a pretty solid category. I think the John Williams score from Born on the 4th of July is actually pretty amazing. And I could totally see that being a winner in any other year, especially because it's a Best Picture nominee. And as we know, being a Best Picture nominee in any category always helps you out. Looking back, this is a pretty obvious win. I don't know why you would choose anything else as a voter, but I wonder if it was a surprise because Disney had not even been close to being nominated for an Oscar in a long time, let alone winning.
It may have been a surprise to some on the night, but looking back from 2023, The Little Mermaid is the obvious choice here for the Oscar win. Such a memorable music score for the ages that really brings this particular movie to life. Steve Martin presented the category, which gave us this zinger.
All right, I'm here to present the Oscar for Best Original Score, which I'm surprised to find out is a music category.
The Oscar-winning composer Bill Conti conducted the orchestra to excerpts from all 5 of the scores up for the Gold Trophy, and Alan Menken gave a short, terrific speech upon his win.
First of all, I'd like to thank my collaborator, Howard Ashman, who encouraged me to take the opportunity to compose my first film score with The Little Mermaid. Special thanks to my manager, Scott Shukat, my wife, Janice, and Academy members. Thank you.
So 34 years later, what is the legacy of The Little Mermaid? I think of it as an important first step in a new golden age of Disney animation, a film that showed the possibilities of what the animated medium could become, that would lead to 3 of my childhood favorites, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and The Lion King. Here's what Cody had to say about the 1989 film about a mermaid wanting to spend a day warm on the sand.
Nowadays, looking back, it's a classic. You can put it on for people of any age, kids I know are still singing it. I used to work in Disney World, and the Little Mermaid ride opened like less than 10 years ago and is super popular in the Magic Kingdom. So its legacy is pretty flawless.
The Little Mermaid continued to be a blockbuster long after it was out of theaters, the film a huge success on home video, and it brought to life a direct-to-video sequel in 2000, a 2008 prequel, a popular Broadway stage musical, a beloved theme park ride, and of course, the new live-action remake directed by Rob Marshall. However, nothing, I believe, will be able to compare to the pure magic of that original animated film, one that brought upon the much-needed Disney Renaissance heading into the 1990s. It's amazing to think that just 2 years later, Beauty and the Beast would receive the record-breaking Best Picture nomination at the Academy Awards, which Cody loves just as much as I do.
Spectacular. One of the best nominations of all time. It's really incredible looking at the lineup too, because it feels almost surprising.
But I'm going to stop Cody right there, because an immersive discussion about Beauty and the Beast, my favorite animated feature film of all time, is a video for another day. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments below, what's another Disney animated feature you'd like me to explore in future videos? Would you like me to do an Oscar history about Beauty and the Beast? We'll see you next time.